But I can tell you, in the hundreds of masses I've gone to, I have never heard the gospel from the homily, from the sermon.
My question for you was, so I've read that you grew up Catholic and then left and became a Protestant.
Yep.
So I also grew up Catholic and now I'm a Protestant.
Okay.
So I wanted to ask you, someone who has a similar background, why you left the Catholic Church and became a Protestant.
I grew up in New Jersey, so I went to Catholic high school, and I was Catholic because it's the law. All right? If you're from New Jersey, either Catholic or Jewish, or you don't care. So I always knew there was a God because I knew there had to be a first cause. I knew there had to be something that caused all this, okay? But when I was in the Catholic Church, I never understood who Jesus was. And it wasn't until I got into the Navy, I met the son of a Methodist minister, and I had so many questions for him because I was interested in God, but I just didn't know where to go with it. I had so many questions, he finally said, look, you just need to get Josh McDowell books. Evidence demands a verdict in More Than a Carpenter. Those were books written in like the 70s. So I got those books, I read them, and I said, wow, this really appears to be true. And I began to go to a church where I didn't get a 7-minute homily, but I had a 45-minute sermon so I could learn more. So that's how I got more into the Protestant. I wasn't a liturgy guy. I wasn't. Now, some people are attracted to liturgy. That's fine. I wasn't. I wanted more variety. I wanted to learn more. So that's why I gravitated in that direction. And I said this. I had a conversation with Jimmy Akin. You guys know who Jimmy Akin is? He's a very nice man. He's a Catholic apologist. I like Jimmy. And I had him on my show, and we were talking about justification. I said, Jimmy, what do you want to talk about? The differences between Catholic. He said, let's talk about justification. So we talked about justification a little bit. And I said, Jimmy, here's one of my problems. And this is just me. This is anecdotal evidence. I haven't taken surveys. But I can tell you, in the hundreds of masses I've gone to, I have never heard the gospel from the homily, from the sermon, until the last Mass I went to, and that was my father's funeral. When the priest came out and said, I spoke to Frank the other day, and he's accepted Jesus, so he's in heaven right now. He didn't talk anything about sacraments. He didn't talk anything about doing good works. He said he's accepted Jesus. So I said, Jimmy, why is it? Maybe it's just me, but why is it that every Catholic service I go to, I never hear a word about grace? In the sermon. You hear it through the Mass, right? Which is liturgy, which after you say it enough times, it just becomes, ho-hum, I'm going through the motions, right? And so what Jimmy did is he actually did a response video where he said, well, the gospel is all throughout the Mass. I emailed him, I said, Jimmy, that's not my question. Because repetition can cause people to tune out. Why do the priests never talk about grace? I still haven't gotten an answer. That's just me, though. I think that's a big deal. Now, when people come to me and they say, do you think Catholics can be saved? I normally say, I even think some Baptists can be saved. Because it's not where you go to church, it's whether or not you've accepted what Christ has done. So I have great respect for Catholic friends and the Catholic Church, but there are several doctrines I think that Catholicism puts forth that I think are in error. And the best book on it, I think, was written by my co-author, Dr. Norman Geisler. It's called Roman Catholics and Evangelicals, Agreements and Differences. So if you want to go deeper, you can. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.